Hey there, everyone. Here's a mobility flow that you can do any time of the day. I recommend either in the morning or at night, or even if like you need a little pick me up in the middle of the day. So it's great for full body, just function, mobility, and awareness, helping with blood flow, circulation, and just bringing that energy back to the body. So this is only going to take about 10 minutes. So let's get started. We'll start from the heads down to the toes. You might need either a stool or a table or a countertop for you during this workout or during this work. All right, so we'll start with some neck stretches for about 15 seconds and switching directions here, one side to the next. And so while you're doing this mobility work, make sure that you are breathing deeply. I recommend in through the nose, out through the nose, as long as you don't have any blockages, or honestly, just as long as you feel comfortable with the breath that you are taking. And so this will be like just a guesstimate. I do have a timer going, so that's about our 15-minute mark here. You're gonna bring the arms out to the side and start with some arm circles. And so while you're doing this, really make sure that your body isn't gonna like swing back and forth here, but instead you're keeping your feet rooted down towards the earth. And then go ahead and switch directions. Really feeling how maybe the shoulder blades are squeezing together in the back. You're getting more of that chest space to open. Then start to make those circles bigger. And then switching directions. I can already start to feel how the blood flow is coming, and I can just take deeper breaths naturally. It happens on its own. You don't have to force it here. All right, so now with that countertop or stool out in front of you, go ahead and put your hands down and start to move your hips backwards so your head can go down between the arms. Your hands are about shoulder distance apart, and then you're moving forward and coming up off of the heels onto the balls of the feet. So starting with the shoulder dynamic movement here as you move back and forth. Maybe let the breath set the pace for you. Maybe you inhale forward, and maybe you exhale back. So as we start to get into the larger movements, this will take us a little longer, about 30 to 45 seconds of moving here. But don't worry, we will take our time. These are not meant to be rushed. When it comes to mobility, the connective tissue responds best to slower, more controlled movements from one point A to point B. All right, good. So now from there, step your feet forward so that they're right underneath of the hips. I'm just gonna move this a little closer or a little further away from the wall. One hand, let's do left hand, stays onto the countertop, and then the right arm is gonna reach up towards the ceiling and then thread the needle through and underneath. So you can bend the arm here to get there, but whatever feels most comfortable for you. Really letting the rotation come from the mid-spine, the thoracic spine. Oh yeah. And sometimes if you have any issues like reaching up or reaching through, you can bring the hand behind the head and just tap the elbow, chair, down onto either your stool like I have, or your countertop, or your table, or your desk, whatever is out in front of you, helping to give you that support. Okay, so that was about 30 to 40 seconds there. Let's go ahead and switch to the other side. Either reaching, it feels so good, that arm up and threading underneath, or taking that option to feel if maybe you need to take that bent elbow, hand behind the head position for yourself. And so just to keep things equal, I'm gonna go for that variation there. Okay. And so it's not to say that like one is better than the other. One will feel different. It's the same sort of movement, but when I do this here, I kind of notice more of like my side body opening up along with the chest and the shoulder. But that left side is really getting a nice stretch when I open up. Good stuff. Alrighty. So then from there, bring the arms back out to the side. Give yourself some arm swings. This will just take 15 minutes, that'd be a long time. 15 seconds of that movement. Again, just letting the blood flow go down to the extremities. All right, and then arms up and down. And so it's understandable that like if you're at work and you need this mobility routine, you can do this seated so you're not looking like a crazy person standing up at your desk, or whatever you may want. You know, say, fuck it. Who cares who's watching? You're taking care of your body. You're taking care of yourself. All right, so then from there, you're gonna bring your hands in front of the chest for thoracic rotations. We kind of already got into that, so we should be warm. I like to like punch one fist into the other hand or palm. And now with these rotations, this is where you can start to feel if one side gives you a little bit more resistance than the other. So as you're twisting, notice how my hips are not moving with me. A lot of times my clients will kind of like twist their whole body and be like, oh yeah, this does feel good. But wouldn't it feel better if you actually did the correct movement from the thoracic spine? You have 12 different vertebrae in the thoracic spine. So think about all of the potential rotation that can happen if you moved and isolated just that part of your spine. Now, it's okay if you're letting your head turn with you. That's fine. That's a little bit of cervical rotation as well, but you're not like overstretching it if you can prevent that from happening. Okay. Right, then just to switch to the other side, so left palm into right palm, rib cage or thoracic translation. So now move your upper body to the right and then to the left. And so as I was saying before, if you feel or notice any sort of difference or restriction from one side to the next, take note of that. That could mean that you have some sort of like, you know, compensation pattern, or, you know, you have more tightness on one side, obviously with that restriction. But notice like where you might feel sort of any pinching happening, or if you do have pinching, like please don't go as far into that pain or pinching range of motion. Be aware and notice your limits within your body. Alrighty, so now coming into your hips. This is where again, you can come back to your stool here and swinging one leg back behind you and then letting it come out in front of you. Okay, a little bit of limited space where I'm demoing this, so I'll have to turn a little bit to the side on the next one. Okay, so as you're here, let it be from the hips. Okay, so we don't want to let the back do the movement with us. Okay, try to isolate just from the hip so that you're lifting that leg up from the glute and then allowing the leg to just like swing forward. It's okay if there's a little bit of like a hip wink or a hip dip or a butt wink at that as that leg is moving forward. Go ahead and switch sides. But like I was saying before, we really don't want the movement to come solely from the spine like this, like I'm demoing for you here. Instead, isolate the movement. Feel how that butt is lifting up. It's really puckering at the top and then softening because you're just letting that leg swing forward, letting the blood flow all the way down to the toes. Let's go about 5 more seconds here. Alrighty. Okay, so now step the feet out wider, usually wider than like hip distance apart will be good for you. But holding on to your stool, chair, desk, or whatever you have in front of you, go ahead and sink the hips back, and you can kind of like walk your hands forward or hold on to the sides of whatever you have in front of you and sink down into a squat. Now in this position, this is gonna be where we're just gonna hold. Breathe for about 30 seconds. And you can, if holding doesn't feel good, you can kind of move from side to side or let one knee sort of come forward and the other comes back. A little rotation there through the lumbar lower body. Soften the shoulders, keep the face soft. Open up through the hips. Maybe as you exhale, feel yourself grow deeper into that squat, and go ahead and come on up. Now making it more dynamic, you move forward like we did before, kind of coming off of the heels onto the toes, move back onto the heels and down into your squat, moving forward and back, forward and back. So this is getting into that ankle mobility, knee and hip mobility, hitting all those 3 places, 3 birds, 1 stone. Awesome. Okay, so now still making it either dynamic if you'd like, a little freestyle here, or a little bit of just stationary. Bring left ankle to right thigh and come down into that piriformis stretch and straighten that right leg back up. If just holding that stretch feels best, then hold it. This is where you get to make it all your own. Go ahead and switch to the other side. Oh, it's good stuff. All right, let's do one more. And then we'll finish up here with some hamstring sweeps. So from the side view, I'll show you from the side and the front, you're gonna alternate one side to the next. So sweep your hand down the leg. You don't actually have to touch your leg, but then stand back up once you get down to the toes. Sweep, reach, and stand. Sweep, reach, and stand. So that as you're going through this, maybe you wanna think of like you're wearing a top hat and you're taking off your hat and you're going, "Milady," okay? Or I don't know, whatever kind of you're sliding or kind of checking your bottom of your shoe, make sure there's no gum on it. But either way, making it a dynamic stretch there through the hamstrings, through the calves, through the whole posterior chain there. All right, so let's end it there. That was about 10 minutes of mobility work with the explanation in the front and this little tidbit in the back. If you enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments. Keep rewatching it if you want, or subscribe to my channel for more. Let me know what you think. Thanks again, guys.